No civil rights struggle has ever been won when a minority stands alone. Men had to vote to give women the vote. Numerous young black men had been murdered before the death of white freedom riders drew national attention to the fight for racial equality. And lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans needed allies in the other 90% of the population to see advances towards full equality. I have been an ally in other minority struggles, and I applaud our theistic allies who are willing to stand up for the approximately 16% of Americans who fall into some category of non-theism. The Secular Coalition for America is extremely proud that our application to become a member of the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights, the nation's premier civil rights organization, was accepted. For the civil rights community to recognize non-theists as both allies and others struggle for acceptance, and also as a minority whose own rights need to be protected in an increasingly theocratic political climate, is tremendous. The Secular Coalition for America has seen an outpouring of support. The coalition has a star-studded advisory board that you can see listed on the backs of the brochures. Though the coalition started with 4 national organizations, it now includes 9, our latest being Camp Quest. AEU is no longer the newest. The Secular Coalition launched a website to provide resources for secular values voters during the 2008 election cycle. And with individual donations from over 1,600 people all over the United States, the coalition has grown from a paid staff of 1 person to now enjoying the work of 6 staffers. Media coverage has been extensive, with articles from national press such as the Christian Science Monitor, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, as well as international coverage in London, the Netherlands, Canada, Ireland, and even BBC Radio. My most recent appearance was on the Colbert Report, and yes, it is a satire show, and yes, it is supposed to be funny, and yes, I had a great time with it. I actually love the use of humor to make important points. Rather than listing all the print, radio, television, and podcast media in today's talk, I do encourage everyone to see the list on our website, secular.org. The other thing I encourage everyone to do on that website is to sign up for Secular Coalition e-alerts. While much of what the coalition does is to quietly kill bad bills behind the scenes through committee members and to quietly encourage additional co-sponsors for good bills, it is essential that when grassroots are needed, that grassroots activists sending emails and making phone calls does make all the difference. When a Congress member has already heard from a few hundred of their own constituents before I walk into a lobby visit to discuss the issue, it makes a tremendous difference. It even helps the Secular Coalition to now be able to accurately say that we have over 11,000 people in our alert system, and some of our emails happen to have been opened by over 100,000 people using the Tell a Friend option. So even if you never have time to take action on our alerts, just adding your name to the total helps us. Since I am speaking to a group which recognizes the importance of deed before creed and living ethical lives, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the various ways you can help to protect our secular government. You can help by writing letters to the editor and op-eds for your local paper. I know many of you already do these things, so it's a reminder too. Participating in Secular Coalition's annual lobby days in Washington, D.C., not too hard to get from here to D.C. Being out as an ethical culturist as much as is comfortable, and maybe even occasionally when it isn't all that comfortable, and explaining to people what that means. And support the Ethical Culture Society of Westchester, the American Ethical Union, and the Secular Coalition for America financially as well. Secular Coalition's monthly donors are especially helpful. Think about running for political office yourself. When I won my Nevada State Senate seat, we did it without money. I wasn't supposed to win. It was grassroots. I won. There are seats that can be won, especially on school boards, which are very important. Look for those seats. You can run. I am overjoyed at the success that the Secular Coalition for America is having in our nation's capital. I'm hearing more inclusion of our constituency in Congress members' speeches and committee comments, and most recently, in a nod to non-believers in the inaugural address by President Obama. Yes. The first out non-theistic Congress member, Pete Stark, allowed the Secular Coalition for America to announce this identity. Specifically, he identifies as a Unitarian who does not believe in a deity, because we asked. And Stark accepted the Humanist of the Year award at the American Humanist Association's National Conference, which was held in conjunction with the International Humanist and Ethical Union in DC last year. We are so fortunate to have a voice in Congress. The Secular Coalition for America is standing up not only for us thick-skinned civilian adults, but also for the children who are being harassed and ostracized for not identifying with theism, for our men and women in the military whose freedom of conscience and religious liberty is being quashed, for patriotic taxpayers who are currently required to subsidize religious activities. And we are fortunate to work side by side with theistic allies. For Brenda Fry's family in Kansas, for the elderly gentleman I spoke to in Tennessee on September 19, 2005, for so many ethical culturists and other non-theists throughout the country, the Secular Coalition for America is your voice in the halls of Congress. I hope you feel pride in that voice and support the Coalition's work, and I thank you so much for having me here today.